The hidden warship awakens. The night sky above Earth was no longer beautiful. It was filled with fire, smoke, and the cold light of alien ships. Their fleet stretched across the horizon like a wall of metal and shadows. They had come with power and confidence. They had come to take Earth as their own. Cities had fallen one by one. Human armies had fought bravely, but they were nothing compared to the weapons of the invaders. Tanks were turned to ash. Fighter jets were hunted like insects. Skyscrapers burned until only black ruins remained. Humanity was cornered, and the planet was breaking apart under the endless attack. Deep below the surface, families hid in bunkers. In the dark, children asked their parents if tomorrow would still come. Soldiers guarded broken streets, but their weapons felt small in their hands. Governments had no plan left. The only order left to give was to survive for as long as possible. And in the silence of despair, rumors began to spread. Whispered words of something buried, something that had been built in secret long ago. A weapon, a ship, a last hope for when the end had finally come. Most laughed at the stories. Others prayed the whispers were true, but no one truly knew. The aliens did not care about these human whispers. To them, humans were weak creatures, simple farmers playing at war. They mocked Earth's resistance. Their leaders told their soldiers, "Crush them. This world belongs to us." And so their fleet moved in closer. But then, it happened. Far out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the water began to shake. At first it was small, like the tremor of an earthquake. Birds flew from the waves in panic. Fishing boats miles away rocked violently as the sea grew restless. Clouds above spun in circles as if pulled by some hidden force. Satellite operators in underground bunkers were the first to see it. A sudden energy spike. Massive, unnatural, and rising fast from beneath the ocean. It was not alien. Its signature was human. "Impossible," one operator whispered. His screen glowed red with warning lights. "That much power. It's not possible." The sea boiled. Columns of steam rose miles high. Then, the surface cracked open and something began to rise. It was not small. It was not fragile. The ocean split apart as a giant shadow climbed from the depths. Water poured down its armored sides like rivers, and thunder cracked as the air broke around it. The shape was sharp, angular, massive. A warship unlike anything the world had ever seen. Its hull was scarred with age, patched with layers of metal in red, gray, and steel colors. Antennas, turrets, and glowing weapon bays covered its body. It was not new. It looked ancient but powerful. The hidden warship had awakened. On every human screen, on every broadcast channel, people stared in silence. For the first time in months, there was hope. Mothers cried as they held their children close. Soldiers gripped their rifles tighter. Commanders raised their heads from maps of defeat. Something had risen for them. Above, the alien fleet reacted in confusion. Scanners picked up the enormous object rising from the ocean. At first, they thought it was some broken building collapsing into the waves. Then they saw the engines. Then they saw the weapons. Their confidence began to fade. The warship's engines roared as it climbed into the sky. The clouds turned red, lit by fire from its thrusters. Ocean water still dripped from its hull as it broke through the storm and rose higher, higher until it hovered in the sky, facing the alien invaders. On the bridge of the alien flagship, officers shouted warnings. "Unknown vessel detected." Human technology cannot explain this. It is impossible. But it was real. Inside Earth's hidden war bunkers, old generals smiled for the first time in years. The ship had a name written into classified files that had been buried in forgotten archives. Project Leviathan. The Leviathan was never meant to be seen unless Earth faced its final hour. It had been built in shadows, hidden in the deep ocean where no eye could ever find it. A ship that carried the combined knowledge of human engineers and alien technology, stolen from old battles. For decades it had slept. Until now. Now it rose like a beast unchained. The alien fleet moved closer, their weapons glowing with bright light. They believed this hidden ship would fall quickly like the rest of Earth's defenses. They thought it was just another fragile human toy. But as the Leviathan turned its guns toward the sky, something changed. The lights along its sides came alive, glowing blue and red. Massive cannons unfolded, locking onto alien targets. Energy surged like a storm across its hull, and a deep hum shook the air. Every human watching held their breath. Every alien waiting laughed in arrogance. Then a single flash tore across the sky, one shot. One beam of energy brighter than the sun. It cut through space and struck an alien battleship at the heart. In a second, the alien ship was gone, turned into fire and dust. The world shook. The oceans roared. Silence fell across Earth and space alike. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were afraid, and for the first time, humanity felt the truth. Earth still had a chance. The enemy's arrogance. The alien commanders had never known fear. For years they had traveled from one world to another, conquering each without struggle. Their fleets were enormous, their weapons unmatched, and their enemies always bowed in the end. To them, Earth was nothing more than another weak planet, a small prize in a long list of victories. When the Leviathan rose from the Pacific, they were not impressed at first. They laughed, calling it a metal coffin and the last cry of desperate animals. On their flagships, officers leaned back in their seats confident that the new vessel would fall with the rest of Earth's defenses. "Fire upon it," one commander ordered. His voice was calm, almost bored. "End this small show before it excites the humans too much." Obediently, the alien fleet opened fire. Hundreds of blasts of green energy cut through the air. Explosions lit up the night sky, and the ocean below churned as burning pieces of debris fell. The alien soldiers shouted in triumph, believing they had destroyed the strange ship before it could even fight back. But when the smoke cleared, their victory cries faded. The Leviathan still floated in the sky untouched. Its shields glowed faintly, a shimmering wall of blue light that had absorbed every shot. The warship's hull gleamed as if mocking the alien fleet. In underground bunkers, humans gasped in disbelief. Their scientists had never been able to build a shield strong enough to resist alien fire. Yet here it was, alive and glowing around the Leviathan. For the first time, the alien commanders narrowed their eyes. This was not the fragile human technology they had studied. This was something else. Still, arrogance blinded them. "Do you think one ship will save them?" sneered Admiral Veyron, leader of the invasion fleet. His voice carried across his command bridge. "Crush it. Burn it until nothing is left." The alien fleet shifted into attack formation. Dozens of warships circled, preparing to trap the Leviathan in a storm of fire. From space, the planet below looked as if it was about to be wrapped in a burning net. Inside the Leviathan, the bridge came alive with voices. Human officers stared at the screens, their hearts pounding. Many had been trained for years without ever believing they would see combat. Now they sat at the controls of the most powerful human creation in history. "Shields holding steady," one officer reported. "Enemy ships closing from all sides," another added. The captain of the Leviathan, an older man with silver hair and eyes hardened by decades of war, did not move from his chair. He spoke with calm precision, his voice echoing across the bridge. "Let them come closer." The crew obeyed. They held their fire as the alien fleet moved in, thinking the humans were frozen in fear. Alien officers grinned at the silence. "Pathetic," one of them muttered. "They do not even fight." But they were wrong. The Leviathan was waiting. As the alien warships closed in, the Leviathan's weapons roared to life. Massive cannons extended from hidden compartments. Missile bays slid open. Energy lines crackled along its armored sides. "Fire," the captain ordered. The sky turned into fire. Blasts of energy tore through the dark, striking alien warships with deadly precision. Missiles shot into the air, splitting apart and raining destruction from above. One alien cruiser exploded in a storm of flames. Another broke apart, falling into the ocean below. The aliens had expected weakness. Instead, they had awakened fury. For the first time in their history of conquest, the invaders saw their fleet break apart in chaos. Shouts of confusion echoed across their comms. "Impossible. How can humans— that weapon, what is it? Retreat, retreat." But Admiral Veyron refused to accept fear. His pride was greater than reason. He slammed his hand against the arm of his throne-like chair and roared. "Do not retreat. Hold the line! These humans dare to challenge us with a toy. Show them the power of the Empire." His officers obeyed, though doubt filled their eyes. The fleet regrouped, tightening its circle around the Leviathan. Their weapons lit up again, painting the sky with green light. The humans braced themselves as the Leviathan shook under the storm of fire. The shields glowed brighter, cracks appearing for a moment before stabilizing again. On the bridge, officers shouted updates, but the captain remained steady. "This ship was built for this moment," he said quietly, "and we will not break." The Leviathan responded with another wave of fire. Its cannons spat destruction, its missiles screamed across the sky, and every shot hit its mark. Alien ships fell one by one, their burning wrecks lighting up the night. Still the aliens fought on. Their arrogance would not let them admit the truth. Earth was no longer helpless. Down below in the ruined cities, humans looked up from their bunkers. They saw the alien fleet breaking. They saw the Leviathan standing tall, and for the first time they believed. Children whispered, "We can win." Soldiers cried out in anger and hope. Civilians prayed with tears running down their faces. The war was not over. Earth was still bleeding, but in the skies above, arrogance was cracking, and fear was beginning to spread through the alien fleet. Admiral Varen's voice thundered once more. "Destroy it! Do you hear me? Destroy it!" But deep inside his heart, for the first time, he felt something he had never felt before. Doubt. Humanity's secret weapon unleashed. The Leviathan hung in the sky like a beast of iron and fire. Its engines burned bright, pouring heat into the night air, and its weapons glowed as though alive. Across Earth, people stared at the broadcast screens in disbelief. The ship was real. It was not a story, not a rumor. It was humanity's secret, a weapon built in silence, hidden for the day when there was no other hope. That day had come. On the alien flagship, Admiral Varen gripped the arms of his chair. His eyes were wide with anger, but deep inside he felt the sharp edge of something new. He would not name it, but his officers recognized it. Fear. Reports poured in. 3 cruisers destroyed. Shields breaking on the forward line. "We cannot hold this formation, Admiral." Varen slammed his fist down. "Pathetic. They are humans. Their world was meant to burn in hours. And you cower before one ship?" Yet the truth filled every corner of his fleet. One ship had broken their confidence. One ship had begun to turn the tide. The Leviathan's captain stood calmly on his bridge. Around him the crew worked like a single machine, voices sharp and steady. Screens showed alien ships burning, falling, and crashing into the sea. The captain's eyes never left the battlefield. He had waited his entire life for this moment. "Bring the main cannon online," he ordered. The crew hesitated for a second. The main cannon was not like the others. It was the heart of the Leviathan, the weapon that had been hidden even deeper than the ship itself. It drew on stolen alien technology, reshaped and reforged by human hands. A weapon too dangerous to ever test until now. The energy core inside the ship began to hum. Lights dimmed. Power flowed like a storm through the Leviathan's veins. The cannon, a long barrel of black steel hidden under its belly, unfolded slowly, locking into place with thunderous clicks. Outside, the alien fleet shifted nervously. Their scanners screamed warnings. Their commanders stared at the massive weapon and felt their arrogance shaking. "Admiral," one of Varen's officers whispered. "If that fires—" "Silence!" Varen snapped, though sweat ran down his neck. The Leviathan's cannon glowed with rising light, brighter and brighter, until it outshone the fires of battle. The ocean below lit up as if it were day. The clouds above split apart as the air trembled. "Target the flagship," the captain said. The crew obeyed. They locked onto the heart of the alien fleet, the ship from which all orders came. The cannon fired. The sound was not a sound, but a shockwave that rolled across the planet. A beam of white-blue energy tore through the sky, leaving a trail of fire behind it. It struck the alien flagship with unstoppable force. For 1 second, the mighty vessel resisted. For 1 second, its shields flared and screamed. Then the ship exploded. A ball of fire bloomed in the heavens, so bright that every human on Earth saw it, so bright that even the stars seemed dim. The flagship was gone. On alien channels, chaos erupted. Officers screamed. Ships broke formation. Some tried to flee, others fired wildly, but none could hide the truth. Their leader had fallen in a single shot. On Earth, cheers rose from bunkers, from ruined cities, from broken streets. Soldiers pounded their fists against walls, shouting with joy. Families wept and clung to each other. Humanity had seen the impossible. The enemy could be beaten. But on the Leviathan's bridge, there was no celebration. The captain knew the truth. The main cannon had power, yes, but it had limits. The ship could not fire it again so quickly. Every shot drained its core, and the ship needed time to recover. He kept his eyes fixed on the enemy, knowing they would learn this too. Sure enough, the alien fleet began to reform. Without their flagship, their arrogance was gone, but desperation replaced it. Hundreds of ships still circled the Leviathan, and now they swarmed like angry insects, determined to destroy the weapon that had humiliated them. Shields dropping to 70%. Enemy bombers incoming. Multiple impacts across the hull. The Leviathan shook under the storm. Sparks flew across the bridge. Smoke filled the air. Yet still, the captain stood unshaken. "This ship was built to endure," he said, "and so it shall." The crew worked furiously. Secondary weapons lit up, shredding bombers from the sky. Automated drones launched from hidden bays, weaving through the enemy and striking with surgical precision. Missile pods fired in waves, carving holes into alien formations. Every human watching held their breath. Every alien fighting felt their pride crumble. One young officer on the Leviathan's bridge whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, "We are not prey anymore. We are hunters." And in that moment it was true. The aliens realized too late that this was not just a ship. It was a symbol. It carried the rage of every burned city, the tears of every lost child, the strength of every soldier who had fallen. It carried humanity itself. The Leviathan turned slowly, its cannons cutting down another alien cruiser. Fires painted the sky red. The battle was no longer one-sided. It was war, deep underground. In secret rooms where leaders watched through trembling screens, one message was passed from mouth to mouth. Earth fights back. The Leviathan was humanity's secret weapon. But it was also something greater. It was a promise. And the galaxy would never forget the day it was unleashed. Turning the tide of war, the skies above Earth burned with fire and smoke. Wrecks of alien ships rained down through the clouds, breaking into the oceans and shattering against mountains. The Leviathan, though scarred and battered, still stood tall in the air. Its engines glowed, its weapons hummed, and its presence alone gave strength to every human watching below. For months, Earth had lived in shadow. But now the shadow was breaking. In the ruins of New York, survivors climbed from basements to watch the battle. In Europe, families huddled together near shattered screens as the Leviathan's image flickered in. Across deserts, forests, and coasts, humanity was united by one sight, their secret warship holding its ground against the impossible. On the alien side, fear spread faster than orders. Their ships circled the sky, but their movements no longer carried the perfect rhythm of dominance. They fired in panic, swarming like insects desperate to sting a beast that could not be brought down. "Shields at 60%, shouted a human officer from the Leviathan's bridge. "Portside armor is weakening," cried another. The captain gripped the rail near his chair, steady as the storm raged around him. His silver hair caught the glow of the emergency lights. His eyes locked on the screens that showed chaos outside. "Maintain formation," he commanded. His voice did not rise, yet it carried the weight of iron. The crew obeyed. Their hands flew over controls, their voices cut through the roar of alarms. The Leviathan shook. Sparks sprayed across the bridge, but its spirit held strong. Then came the turning point. From deep within Earth's command bunkers, a coded signal was sent. Smaller human fleets that had been hiding in mountain bases and undersea docks emerged at last. Dozens of frigates and fighters streaked through the clouds, joining the fight. They were nothing compared to the alien armada, but now they fought with fire in their eyes. "Support the Leviathan," their commanders cried. "Push them back!" Alien officers stared in disbelief. Humans were not retreating anymore. They were advancing. The Leviathan surged forward, tearing through the alien lines. Its cannons spat flame. Its missiles exploded in showers of fire, and every blast cleared the way for the smaller human ships behind it. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were being forced back. Admiral Veyron's fury shook his command deck. His voice thundered like a storm. "Fools! Do not scatter, regroup. Overwhelm them with numbers." But his officers hesitated. They had seen the flagship destroyed. They had watched proud cruisers fall in seconds. Their confidence was broken and fear guided their hands. Still the battle raged. Alien bombers dove toward the Leviathan, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The Leviathan's drones swarmed to intercept, exploding in bright flashes as they tore the bombers apart. Alien destroyers rained fire, but the Leviathan's shields flared and held. On the ground, soldiers and civilians shouted as they saw the tide shift. They no longer whispered of defeat. They shouted of survival, of revenge, of hope. Every blast from the Leviathan felt like a heartbeat for the planet itself. But victory did not come without pain. The Leviathan groaned under the pressure of battle. Parts of its armor peeled away. Entire sections burned, leaking smoke and fire into the sky. Lives were lost inside its steel walls, but still the ship endured. Shields down to 40%, cried an officer. Core charging unstable, warned another. The captain closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the years of silence, the years the Leviathan had slept beneath the ocean, waiting for this moment. He opened his eyes again and his voice cut through the chaos. We hold, for Earth, for every city that has fallen, for every voice that still prays, the crew shouted as one, for Earth. The ship roared in answer. The Leviathan's secondary weapons ignited, sweeping entire lines of alien fighters from the sky. Its heavy cannons thundered, cracking open enemy cruisers. Its engines flared brighter, throwing the warship forward like a beast breaking its chains. Human frigates followed close, their smaller guns hammering at alien targets, forcing the invaders to split their attention. Together, the Leviathan and its fleet carved through the alien formation, leaving fire and wreckage in their wake. Admiral Veyron's jaw clenched. His pride, once as strong as steel, began to crack. He saw the truth. The humans were no longer prey. They were no longer weak. They had built something greater, something that challenged the Empire itself, and still he could not retreat. His voice shook with rage. If we fall here, the galaxy will laugh at us. Destroy that ship, even if it costs us all. But his order was too late. The tide had turned. The Leviathan's guns burned through the night, and with each strike, another alien ship fell. The humans pushed forward, screaming through their comms as they broke the enemy line. The oceans below reflected the fire above, as if Earth itself was alive with fury. In bunkers, families clapped their hands together. In ruins, children raised their fists to the sky. Soldiers raised their weapons, not in despair but in triumph. The world had changed in a single battle. The Leviathan had risen, and with it, humanity had found its strength again. But even as the alien fleet faltered, even as Earth celebrated, the captain's eyes were cold. He knew this was not the end. The enemy was wounded but not destroyed. They would return, and they would return with vengeance. Still, for this night, the tide of war had turned, and the galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity was not so easy to break. The fate of Earth. The night stretched on like an endless storm. Fire lit the skies, burning across the clouds as alien ships fell in trails of smoke and flame. The Leviathan, scarred and battered, still hovered above the Earth. Its hull was blackened, its shields cracked, but its engines roared with power. It had stood where nothing else could. On the ground, silence had broken into cries of triumph. People who had hidden for months poured into the streets, their eyes turned upward. Soldiers who had fought without hope now roared with fire in their voices. For the first time, Earth believed it could live. But high above, the battle was not yet finished. The alien fleet had been broken, but not destroyed. Ships scattered, fleeing from the Leviathan's fury, yet some remained, their commanders too proud to retreat. They circled at a distance, their weapons charged, watching the human warship with a mixture of fear and hatred. Admiral Veyron's face appeared across their comms, his voice strained but still filled with fire. You run from insects? You dare to shame the Empire? We are not finished. If Earth thinks itself free, then let us remind them of their place. Even as he spoke, his ship burned. Sparks fell from the ceiling, alarm screamed around him, but his pride was unbroken. His officers exchanged nervous glances, but none dared defy him. The Leviathan's captain stood steady on his own bridge. Around him, the crew worked tirelessly, smoke thick in the air, exhaustion heavy on every face. They were alive, but their ship was bleeding. Shields were down to scraps, weapons overheated, the main cannon still drained from its last strike. Status, the captain asked. Shields failing. Engines strained. Enemy regrouping. The words carried weight. The Leviathan had fought like no ship ever had, but it was not endless. Every strike came with a cost, and the cost was now close to breaking them. The captain's eyes hardened. If this is the final stand, then let it be worthy of Earth. The crew nodded. Their hands did not tremble. They knew the price. The alien fleet began to move again. Veyron roared orders, and what remained of his armada surged forward, determined to crush the Leviathan once and for all. They came like a storm, their weapons blazing, their engines screaming across the black sky. The Leviathan rose to meet them. Its cannons fired once more, each blast tearing through enemy ranks. Missiles streaked like falling stars. Drones weaved through alien formations and the sky was filled with fire. But the aliens struck back. Explosions rocked the Leviathan, tearing open its sides, spilling fire and air into the night. Deck 6 breached. Casualties reported. Core overheating. The ship groaned under the weight of war. For a moment it seemed it might fall, but Earth was not ready to surrender again. From the clouds, human frigates and fighters surged forward, battered but unbroken. They filled the gaps around the Leviathan, their guns blazing, their voices shouting across the comms. For Earth, for humanity, alien cruisers fell before the swarm. Their pride turned to panic, their formation collapsed. Varen shouted in fury, his voice breaking with rage. But then the Leviathan's captain gave one last order. Charge the core. One final shot, the crew froze. The cannon was not ready. The core was unstable. To fire again could mean destruction. The captain's voice did not waver. We will not let Earth fall. Prepare the shot, the crew obeyed. The lights dimmed. The ship trembled as the core drew in the last of its power. The cannon unfolded once more, glowing brighter than the sun. The alien fleet realized too late what was coming. Panic echoed through their comms. Varen's voice cracked with desperation. No, stop them. Destroy them now. But it was too late. The Leviathan fired. The beam tore across the sky, a line of light brighter than anything Earth had ever seen. It split the heavens and struck the center of the alien fleet. For a moment there was silence. Then came the explosion. The blast ripped through the invaders, swallowing ships whole, shattering cruisers, turning their weapons into fire and dust. The shockwave rolled across the planet, shaking the oceans, shaking the mountains, shaking the very sky. When it ended, the fleet was gone. Only burning wrecks remained, drifting helplessly through the dark. Admiral Varen's ship was silent. The pride of the Empire had been broken, not by armies, not by numbers, but by a single human warship and the will of a planet that refused to kneel. The Leviathan floated in silence. Smoke poured from its wounds, fire burned along its sides, but it was still there. It had survived. On Earth, voices rose in a single cry. Cheers, shouts, tears, prayers. A sound louder than any weapon. Humanity had stood, and humanity had endured. The captain of the Leviathan lowered his head. He knew what came next. The enemy was beaten but not gone. They would return. They would bring more ships, more weapons, more fury. But when they came, Earth would no longer be the same. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity could fight. Humanity could win. The Leviathan had changed the fate of Earth, and the war for the stars had only just begun.